There's a story that came out of The Guardian, and I'm gonna tell you guys, if this isn't some blatant racism and white supremacy, I don't know what is in this particular story. So do you know the FBI had investigated an activist group that was against neo-Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan? They investigated them. And in their report, they stated that the KKK were victims and that they were impeding on the rights of neo-Nazis. I'm not making it up. I'm gonna make sure then you know I'm not making this up. Okay. So this, definitely happened out of, they say, the Oakland, and they was talking about that the FBI opened up a domestic terrorism investigation to a civil rights group in California back in 2016. Now, they ran surveillance on by any means necessary, spying on the group's movements, in an inquiry that came after one of Bamn's members was stabbed at a white supremacist rally, according to documents obtained by The Guardian. The FBI's Bamn files reveal the FBI investigated Bamn for potential conspiracy against the rights of the Ku Klux Klan and white supremacists. The FBI considers the KKK as victims and the leftist protesters as potential terror threats, and downplayed the threats of the Klan, writing the KKK consisted of members that some perceive to be supportive of a white supremacist agenda. The Trump administration, let me say this much, and I don't know if you saw the recent thing, how the Trump administration is unraveling every protection toward black folks. And it's not just black folks, it's also others as well, LGBT, etc. This still won't make me go run out and just vote for somebody because of that. They got to have an agenda, period. Because every day someone doing something to black folks. Now, they said the FBI's monitoring included in-person surveillance, and the agency cited Bam's advocacy against rape and sexual assault and police brutality as evidence in the terrorism inquiry. Okay, you're advocating against rape and sexual assault and police brutality, and that's evidence of terrorism? So is Me Too, are they being investigated as terrorism as well right now? What about all these other organizations that's against rape and sexual assault? And so you against police brutality, that's part of a terrorism inquiry? Now, they say that the 46-page report on Bamn obtained by the Government Transparency nonprofit Property of the People through a records request presented an astonishing description of the KKK, said like German, a foreman FBI agent and far-right expert who reviewed the documents for The Guardian. The report ignored 100 years of Klan terrorism that has killed thousands of Americans and continues to use violence right up to the present day. It said this description of the KKK should be an embarrassment to FBI leadership. Man, reading this, I'm just like, when he said make America great again, and when I told y'all they feel that the 50s was the time that was great, that's exactly what they returned in this country to, the 1950s. Look at all of the blackface incidents. Like I say, even though they're not imitating my people, putting black shoe polish on their face, I know who they're imitating, but they're attacking black people, murdering black people, calling you the N-word, punching 11-year-old girls. They return right back to the 50s with this situation. They're so emboldened. And do you understand why they're emboldened? When you have a president that states, well, they're good people too, and then you have an FBI that, they state in this report at The Guardian, that the Klan is the victims. The Klan. Now, Shanta Driver, Bam's national chair, criticized the investigation in a statement to The Guardian, saying the FBI's interest in Bamn is part of a long-standing policy, starting with their campaign to persecute and slander Dr. Martin Luther King. They have a racist history of targeting peaceful civil rights and anti-racist organizations while doing nothing to prosecute the racists and fascists who attacked Dr. King and the movement he built. Anyone who knows their history is no argument there. The FBI launched its terrorism investigation and surveillance of Bamn after white supremacists armed with knives faced off with hundreds of counter-protesters, including Bamn activists, and a June 2016 neo-Nazi rally in Sacramento. I remember that one, actually. Although numerous neo-Nazis were suspected of stabbing at least 7 anti-fascists in the melee, leaving some with life-threatening injuries, the FBI chose to launch an inquiry into the activities of the left-wing protesters. Okay, so they say the documents, though heavily redacted, did not include any conclusions from the FBI that Bamn violated laws or posed a continuing threat. Its members have not faced federal prosecution. They say the FBI declined to not speak on that. Now, they say it's clear the FBI dropped the investigation, have no evidence of wrongdoing. It never should have opened up in the first place, one person stated. Yes, I mean, you know good and well black folks ain't out here plotting to do anything. Black people not even trying to get involved with that. But just so the fact that someone greenlit the California wing of the FBI to start investigating this group, where did the call come from? That's what I like to know. Did it come from Jeff Sessions? Where did it come from? I'm just curious. So they say the 2016 rally was organized by 2 white supremacists, the Traditionalist Workers Party, and the affiliated California entity, the Golden State Skinheads. Now, I don't believe that we should be giving permits to anyone that's going out there acting the way they're acting, just to speak on public ground. No, I don't think you should be doing that. But people say freedom of speech. But see, it's funny how they want freedom of speech to say ugly things to us. But the moment that we would want a permit and start saying things back that's the truth, then that would be a problem. So they stated that California law enforcement subsequently worked with the neo-Nazis. You see, the state sanctioned terrorism that happens to black people. They say the California law enforcement subsequently worked with the neo-Nazis to identify counter-protesters, pursue charges against stabbing victims and other fascists, and decided not to prosecute any men on the far right for the stabbings. If you ever seen, y'all just need to go just sit back and watch. When the white supremacists go out to do their little rallies and marches, don't watch them. Watch how the police act around them. Watch how sometimes they'll shake their hand and they buddy with them. They're not disgusted by them. I've seen that so many times. And just observe. Let's say take your camera next time and just sit there and observe the interaction. They're working with the white supremacists to prosecute the people that they stabbed. But America is not racist. And this is California, that state that has systematically tried to destroy black people. If the cops not working with the neo-Nazis out in Sacramento, then you have the government in California just opening up the floodgates and letting anybody in. Sanctuary cities, but black people don't have no sanctuary cities they can go to, that they can't be harassed, that they can't be asked where you going, what you got going, nothing. Black people don't have any sanctuary cities. And the moment you bring it up, that's a problem. You're against people, but yet this is what black people are going through. Okay, this is what we're going through. But we don't supposed to say nothing about that. Now, they say the FBI appears to have adopted a similar approach in a redacted October 2016 document. The FBI labeled the Bamn investigation as domestic terrorism or anarchist extremism case. The FBI's San Francisco office wrote that investigating allegations that members of Bamn attended a Ku Klux Klan rally and assaulted a neo-Nazi protest supporter. And summarized the Sacramento incident this way. That law enforcement learned the Ku Klux Klan be holding a rally at the state capitol building. The KKK consisted of members that perceived to be supportive of a white supremacist agenda. In response, a number of groups mobilized to protest at the rally. Now, they said flyers posting asking people to attend in order to shut the rally down. Okay, so how could you win when you have your government totally against you? the FBI is the law enforcement wing of the federal government. And they're siding with criminals. Let's just call it what it is. Forget the white supremacy part. It's criminal to take a knife and stab a person. That's criminal. Why didn't they go to jail? No, the persons that they stabbed is the one that got charges. They're protected. This is why we have the white supremacy problem. And yes, reparations could be paid, but you're still going to have the same problem if they're protecting white supremacists. Now, even though the police stated that there were many neo-Nazis holding knives and sticks ready to attack people, that was okay. Now, the FBI stated that the group Bamn, they lawfully exercised their First Amendment rights by engaging in peaceful protests, but added that its members engaged in other activity by refusing to disperse, trespassing in closed buildings, obstructing law enforcement, shouting during and interrupting public meetings so the meetings could not continue. Well, shouting is freedom of speech. Last time I heard. Now, they said Bamn has long advocated for racial justice and immigrant rights, frequently protesting at public events and organizing rallies. Okay. So they said, continue to say the FBI said it was possible the actions of certain Bamn members may exceed the boundaries of protected activity and could constitute a violation of federal law. But yet they were the ones that were the victims. Let me tell you something. This whole report, as I'm going through it, it just sickened me to the core. You see, when other people talk about why black people are looking for a black agenda, why black people not trying to include no one else, why black people are asking for really a protected class status, you know why? Because no other group is having their members being treated the way black people are being treated. Let's call it what it is. We have state-sanctioned oppression and terrorism against black people. This happened right in California, the same state Kamala Harris comes from. This is why I tell black people, I've told them many times, make an exodus out of that state. Let them have it. Let them have it. You ain't lost nothing there in California. I know y'all love the weather and all that, and that's great with the weather, but let them have it. I mean, they have high state taxes. The cost of living is so high. I mean, you need to come to the South where your brothers and sisters at anyway. That's just my personal opinion. Because, I mean, this right here, I mean, what more do you need to know how people feel about black people in California? What more do you need to know? Many of you came up to me at the Taste of Soul and told me how you guys can't get jobs because they flooding California with people that's not even legally to be here in the United States. And then if you say that, oh, well, why is that a third? And you can say whatever you want. My wife says the same exact thing. She says it. She said it's not right just to let people just come in. I mean, because what about the people who work there in those cities and states? You know, what about them? What about all the taxes they pay? I mean, come on. I mean, how is it that you feel it's supposed to be a free for all and black folks aren't supposed to say nothing? And then when you hear stories out of California about trying to firebomb black people out of their neighborhoods, trying to, you know, shoot at black people, run them out of traditionally black areas, and you still are supposed to say nothing about it at all. It's a thing called right and wrong. And I stand on the side of righteousness. And it is wrong to sit there and advocate all that to be going on to a segment of your population, and you better not say nothing about it. And then if you stand up for yourself against racism, white supremacy, you're being investigated from the FBI. That's why many of us tell you don't go out there and protest for what? It's not doing anything. It's not. We can do more things effectively without even going out there and protesting. Martin Luther King showed us how to do it a long time ago. You hit the economics. You don't go out there protesting and screaming for it. They're looking for you to do that. They can't wait for you to do that. And many of us now see that. Many of us now see that we can affect the NFL now. We can affect elections if we so chose to. We know that. You don't have to go out there and protest and put yourself in harm's way to do any of that. But what I read, I mean, what we read out of this, man, I mean, it just, I mean, but you know, our tax dollars go to all these organizations to do this to us. But you know, I guess when, you know, I mean, when white supremacists are good people too, I guess you got to protect them, right? But leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this particular story. Definitely out of California, and how a, you know, organization that stands up against rape, sexual assault, and white supremacy, they're the one who was investigated. But the Ku Klux Klan and neo-Nazis, even though they stab people, they're the good guys. I mean, we can't win for losing. And then sometimes you wonder why I talk about maybe seeing what's going on in African nations sometimes. I have to just bring it up sometime because it's just, I don't know, this place has become literally the Twilight Zone. And yet we still got black folks willing to sell us out. Still got black folks willing to do anything to get a few Negro trinkets. I mean, it's just sickening.